In last year's Thrawn novel by Timothy Zahn, we learned that Thrawn met Anakin Skywalker at some point during the Clone Wars. As Thrawn revealed to Emperor Palpatine when he was first brought to Coruscant, and also to his nemesis Nightswan, not only did Thrawn find Anakin to be a cunning and courageous warrior, but his interaction with the Jedi gave him the credentials he needed to bring to the Empire's leaders to begin his path within the Imperial Navy. Because the novel didn't provide much in the way of information regarding this initial meeting between Thrawn and Anakin, it was left to speculation about what the circumstances were that brought them together, as well as the consequences it had for the two characters. As part of that speculation, given the genius and brilliance of Thrawn, we were left to wonder if the Chiss would be able to figure out Darth Vader's true identity of Anakin Skywalker, the Jedi he met years earlier during the Clone Wars. Such a determination by Thrawn would be akin to that made by Tarkin, who was able to determine that Vader was Anakin based only upon a few interactions with both and comparing their similar traits. And of course, with the release of yesterday's novel Thrawn Alliances, which would clearly give us more insights into the characters of Thrawn and Vader, there was the perfect opportunity to finally discover whether or not Thrawn was able to do the same. Did the Chiss Grand Admiral discover Darth Vader's true identity as Anakin? In this video expose, I will answer this question and describe what we learned from the novel Thrawn Alliances. I will say adamantly that this video does contain major spoilers for Thrawn Alliances, so if you're currently reading the novel, please proceed with caution because we're going to look at this answer right from the beginning. As seen in Thrawn Alliances, with many similarities to the efforts of Tarkin seen within the Tarkin novel, Thrawn was able to make the connection between Anakin and Vader and come to understand that they were the same individual. In fact, the novel dropped many hints that Thrawn knew as soon as their mission together started, and in many ways, built to one final recognition by Thrawn that Vader was the Jedi he met years earlier. For example, there was a scene very early in the novel where the Commodore of the Chimera, a great character named Karen Farrow, was surprised to learn that Thrawn had previously been to the planet of Batuu, where their current mission called for them to inspect, and thus providing potential that Thrawn was part of the Republic Navy during the Clone War. When Commodore Farrow voiced her curiosity to Thrawn within the presence of Vader, the Sith Lord admonished the Commodore, reminding everyone on board the Chimera that the past was the past and the present and future were all that mattered, before retreating to his quarters, clearly wishing there to be no discussion of Thrawn's previous mission with Anakin. But that was only the beginning, as we also saw Thrawn bring up Anakin numerous times directly to Vader. At one point, Thrawn tried to use the trust he gained with Anakin to try to leverage the same trust with Vader. In another scene, Thrawn tried to use his loyalty to Anakin, wherein he stayed to help Anakin and Padme with their mission during the Clone Wars, to try to evoke the same loyalty in return from Vader. And finally, we even had a scene that went so far as to see Thrawn use the word "we" when referencing a mission to assault a separatist factory during the Clone War, and the same factory that was their target during the Imperial era. This was clearly suggesting that Thrawn viewed the current mission as their second assault on the same factory. In this latter scene, Thrawn ultimately used the excuse that he simply misspoke and didn't mean to suggest anything. In each of these instances, Vader reminded Thrawn that Anakin Skywalker was dead. But each time, Thrawn would only go so far as to confirm he only heard that was true, or merely that he was so informed of that outcome, never a hard confirmation that he recognized Anakin's death as a sure thing. All of these scenes throughout the early and middle stages of Thrawn Alliances suggested that Thrawn was beginning to put the pieces together, just as Tarkin had done before him, and recognized that Anakin and Vader were the same person. But at the same time, we didn't have any hard confirmations that Thrawn knew for certain this was true, and while Vader perceived each remark by Thrawn to get closer and closer to the truth, it may have still been possible that this was merely a theory for Thrawn, and he was trying to determine the extent of its accuracy. However, we do finally get undeniable proof that Thrawn knows that Vader is Anakin in a fantastic scene at the end of the novel, when Thrawn can finally say to himself that Vader is the Jedi he met during the Clone War. During an attack on an alien species found within the Unknown Regions and the Outer Rim, Thrawn placed Vader in command of the TIE Defender Squadron engaged in the assault. As Thrawn watched Vader pilot his TIE Defender from the bridge of the Chimera, Thrawn recognized undeniable characteristics in the maneuvers performed by Vader, as well as the precision inherent in his piloting skills. Having witnessed Anakin fly during their Clone Wars era mission, and flown with him personally as well, it was unmistakable for Thrawn at this point, allowing him to finally conclude to himself, it is he. Vader was Anakin Skywalker. Just as Tarkin had done previously, Thrawn added up the pieces to find no other conclusion was possible to accept. But that wasn't the end of it for Thrawn. In their final scene in the novel, Thrawn again directly made a reference to Vader regarding their mission together during the Clone War. This time though, Thrawn held nothing back, telling Vader he may recall the suggestion he made to him years earlier regarding their first mission together, treating Vader and Anakin as one and the same without any hesitancy. Of course, Vader was taken aback by this, and could finally conclude for himself that Thrawn knew his true identity as Anakin Skywalker. Although Vader tried to state that Thrawn never made such a suggestion to him, the Sith Lord knew it was a hollow gesture that would do nothing to change Thrawn's mind. Nonetheless, before departing from their mission, Vader again reiterated to the Chiss Grand Admiral that Anakin Skywalker was dead. This time, Thrawn confirmed that he knew that to be true. Not that he heard it or was informed of such, but rather, a firm acknowledgement by Thrawn that he understood Vader. It was as if determining the truth for himself alleviated his need to bring it up again, as they both now understood that Thrawn knew the truth. Promising Vader he would never again speak of Anakin Skywalker, he nevertheless stated that he would always honor the Jedi's legacy. And with that, we finally learn the truth of whether or not Thrawn knew Vader's true identity within the current canon. So there we have it, what we learned in Thrawn Alliances regarding Thrawn's ability to connect Vader with Anakin Skywalker. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel, or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive hangouts and book discussions. If not for me, for completely living up to the hype.